Can we pull one of these?
Let's see if we can get some of the audio.
It's something on...
Both must be upheld. We are not an authoritarian nation where we silence people or squash dissent. The American people are heard.
With here.
In fact, peaceful protest is in the best tradition of how Americans respond to consequential issues. But neither are we a lawless country. We are a civil society, and order must prevail. Throughout our history, we've often faced moments like this because we are a big, diverse, free-thinking, and freedom-loving nation. In moments like this, there are always those who rush in to score political points. But this isn't a moment for politics. It's a moment for clarity. So let me be clear. Peaceful protest in America. Violent protest is not protected. Peaceful protest is. It's against the law when violence occurs. Destroying property is not a peaceful protest. It's against the law. Vandalism, trespassing, breaking windows, shutting down campuses, forcing the cancellation of classes and graduations. None of this is a peaceful protest. Threatening people, intimidating people, instilling fear in people is not peaceful protest. It's against the law. Dissent is essential to democracy, but dissent must never lead to disorder or to denying the rights of others so students can finish the semester and their college education. Look, it's basically a matter of fairness. It's a matter of what's right. There's the right to protest, but not the right to cause chaos. People have the right to get an education, the right to get a degree, the right to walk across the campus safely without fear of being attacked. But let's be clear about this as well. There should be no place on any campus, no place in America for anti-Semitism or threats of violence against Jewish students. There is no place for hate speech or violence of any kind, whether it's anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, or discrimination against Arab Americans or Palestinian Americans. It's simply wrong. There's no place for racism in America. It's all wrong. It's un-American. I understand people have strong feelings and deep convictions. In America, we respect the right and protect the right for them to express that. But it doesn't mean anything goes. It needs to be done without violence, without destruction, without hate, and within the law. You know, make no mistake, as president, I will always defend free speech, and I will always be just as strong in standing up for the rule of law. That's my responsibility to you, the American people, and my obligation to the Constitution. Thank you very much.
Okay, so there you go. You have Joe Biden.
Taking any questions?
Doing, you want to take questions?
Yeah, if he's taking, he might be taking a question here. Let's see.
Have the protests forced you to reconsider any of the policies with regard to the region?
And he walks away.
Mr. President, do you think the National Guard should intervene?
No.
Mr. President, do you agree
And he's walking away, and the door is closing behind him.
But he's still answering them.
Yeah,
No.
He's just in the no. He's in the hallway. No. He's in his bedroom. No. He looks at his wife. She says, no. I know. That's what's happening.
What did you make of that? I mean, it was pretty milquetoast, boring, not much. I don't like. We were talking about this off the air that he had an actual opportunity here if he wanted to win over a good chunk of the country while risking his far left flank, of kind of having the, cliched Sister Souljah moment where he comes out and is really harsh against these people who are doing what they're doing.
He didn't do that.
He did not do that. That was it may have been what he was trying to do. He's seemingly incapable of giving a speech of any value. And that was just a not, like, hey.
I think it's enough to satisfy many supporters. We're also
meaning
at
what kind of supporters? Like what group is he targeting with that?
His
like a liberal, maybe Jewish voter?
Yeah, and not really. I think he's kind of pissed off the Jews when he's like, no place for anti-Semitism. Or, people wanting to hurt Hamas and Palestinians and Muslims and those who are in the Mickey Mouse Club.
Right, well, that's
the
a big
ones
one.
that have been raped by the Disney Corporation, which we're totally fine with. You know, I don't think he reached out to those supporters, but I think he did enough for maybe the average person who is a Democrat and wants him to do the right thing. They went, well, okay, so he's strong on that.
No violence.
He said no violence.
Said protests are okay, but no violence and such. And I think that maybe there's some group maybe he connects with that. I think, though, there was a chance for him to really like set this issue as maybe make it into a strength instead of a weakness, and he did not do that there. That was he could have made a moment of like, look, these people on these campuses are basically calling them revolting, like passion, some sort of anger toward the people who were calling for the genocide of Jews. There's none of that. It was like, well, to make sure people can get to classes, everyone's got a right to get a degree, which, by the way, they don't have a right to. But all of that being said, it wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen out of his mouth. I mean, he didn't have red villain lighting behind him.
Well, you know what's great though? Yeah. He doesn't need that anymore. We all
just know.
We all
it's
just know.
Built into his character.
Villain.
It's funny too. Like he's from a dramatic standpoint. You couldn't put Joe Biden in like a dramatic movie because he's so bad at these speeches. Even if he says something evil, you're just like, oh God, this sucks. Like that. You don't even. It's not like.
I think that we should bring the guillotine back, and we should take all bankers. And we should cut their heads off. Right, like it's so there's no emotion. Like you go back to like the Star Wars, like this is how liberty dies with thunderous applause speech. Right. It's like you need to be. You can't put him in a movie. Well,
everyone would be like, wait,
no.
What?
There's a difference between.
Is he talking about hamburgers? What's he talking?
And the rebels are taking our bases, and we must stop for the empire.
Right. Yeah.
And the rebels taking for Ben. We did.
You got to cough 3 times in the middle of the sentence.
My uncle was in a spaceship once. He was probed by aliens.
Isn't it just, can we at least agree with this? Democrats, Republicans, everybody across the aisle, this is embarrassing. Can we at least just agree on that point? You can still say his policies are better or whatever. People around him that are making the policies have a better idea of how to run the country. But aren't you just embarrassed by this day after day after day? It is just utterly depressing that the country that has led the world out of, the lack of civilization has this dolt running it. It's so pathetic. In every way.
So you're drawing a lot more out of this speech than I did. I don't think it was bad. I don't think it was good. But I don't think that's not gonna make any impact one way or another.
I don't know that we disagree. I think that I think he had an opportunity for impact, which he did not take. He could have made it worse. I don't know that he did that. I just think that he's such an uninspiring figure, and I'm embarrassed that we're led by someone like that. And when I say led, it's definitely in air quotes there. I don't know that the president should be viewed this way, but it's the way that we do view the president. He just sucks. I mean, it's maybe not even deeper than that. He just sucks at this. He's not good at the thing he does. The job he has, he's incapable of doing. And that's a little bit frustrating for a world superpower.
Yeah, see, I think you're going too soft. He's not just incapable of doing it. Mm-hmm. The guy is a box of matches in a fireworks factory.
But I agree with that.
He is and he's constantly striking himself.
Yeah.
Oh, what happened? What happened?
Yeah.
And he's constantly setting everything on fire.
Yeah, but I don't think that speech didn't strike me as hey, keep going, protesters.
No,
it wasn't that.
No.
Which again, if he was some ideological maniac, maybe he would have gone that. Elizabeth Warren would have done that. Elizabeth Warren would have been out there being burn these things to the ground. I mean, probably. I think he didn't quite do that. I think he went out there with the idea of people are criticizing me for not saying anything. I got to say something. I can say, hey, free speech is good, but don't break the law, everybody, and then step back and have my, probably at this point, what is it, 10 a.m. dinner, and then the day's over, right? Like that's what it felt like, and that's what it feels like all the time with this guy. Even when he's doing things that are, viscerally angering about. He's overcoming the entire system of government with things like the student loan plan. And he does it the same way. He looks as boring and terrible and awful and coughing in the middle of the sentences that he does in every other speech. And watching him, it's funny too, because he's obviously been told, hey, if you can avoid coughing in the middle of a sentence, can you do that? Multiple times he went to cough and he catches himself and his hand stays like a foot away from he brings it up and then he starts to cough and he realizes he's not supposed to do it because I don't think he has to cough. It's like he's just doing it as a tick. Like he wants to I don't know what he's doing. And then he also has this little scratch his face thing in the middle. Like in the middle of
You're making
the
fun of him
Jews shouldn't be so murdered all the time. Whatever the hell he was saying. I just feel like it's just an embarrassment from beginning to end. So I'm sorry you didn't feel that way. I'm sorry you liked President Biden. You're going to vote for him. That's not how I feel, and I have to express it. As he said, free speech is important.